Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I'm Fan for Racing Sharon, and joining me tonight is Taz. He's here to fill in for Sal, who is off for medical reasons. So we're wishing him well and look for him to return when he's ready. We're not rushing anything, but we appreciate Taz filling in. So thank you, Taz.
Much appreciate coming on and hope for a nice speedy and of course don't rush the recovery for Sal and hopefully things go better for him.
Yes, and we are certainly hoping for the best there. We're here for the Chicago review for the NASCAR Cup Series, and I got to say, it's time to get the broom out. SVG made it 2 in a row. He swept Chicago. So your overall thoughts?
Basically, I thought at the beginning of the race this was going to be a SVG versus a Michael McDowell
Yes,
race.
I did too.
McDowell, I mean, shoot. At first I was like, I'm not sure if there's anybody really that's caught up to him. And then McDowell came out on the start and was taking off, and he opened 1.5, almost a 2-second lead on him. So I was like, holy crap. One driver is actually caught up to him and actually putting something on him. So I thought it was going to be a McDowell versus SVG kind of a race. But then McDowell had the throttle problem, and that ended his day, which bummed out, and turned pretty much for the most part was an SVG kind of day. And of course, whoever was trying to restart with SVG on the front row, they tried anything they can, but SVG, he's just got it.
Ty Gibbs talked about that. He said nobody was going to get him on the restart because he's just too good. Now, I will say, I thought there were 2 drivers that could maybe challenge SVG, and one of them was Michael McDowell. That was going into the race, and that was before I knew he was on the front row. But the other driver was Ty Gibbs, who ended up finishing second to him. But neither one of them could make it happen, unfortunately. And but I mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it again. I think these guys are learning. SVG, though, is so smooth. I think there's going to come a time where he's going to get some competition.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what a lot of these guys are starting to understand with SVG is that SVG is used to tight corners, tight space, road course, street course style racing, because with the V8 supercars and just like a lot of the sports car style racing, they're not so lenient with track limits like NASCAR is, because obviously with the stock car is much heavier than a lot of these sports cars that are running.
Yes.
So a lot of these sports car series that SVG's been accustomed to for basically his entire career, the track limits is what he's used to. He's slowly understanding that, like with NASCAR, okay, they're a little bit more lenient, but of course with a street course, your track limit is basically a wall. So if you're not used to tight, narrow racing, you're going to have a hard day. And SVG, it fits in his wheelhouse. Oh, so easy.
It does.
The fact that he's gone 2 for 2 in Xfinity and 2 for 3 in the Cup Series, give the guy his flowers.
Absolutely, or his trophy. It was the number 88 this time for Shane Van Gisbergen, winning the Grant Park 165 in the Cup Series race on that street course. The win was his second win of the year, because he also won in Mexico City, and his third career win in the Cup Series. Ty Gibbs came in second, followed by Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick really tried to give it a go. He just could not get caught up to him. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman, Austin Hill, and Ross Chastain are your top 10 finishers. Gisbergen, of course, was the highest finishing rookie of the race. He started from the pole. He actually started from the pole in both races, Xfinity and Cup. He led 26 laps and was leading the race by more than 2 seconds when the caution came out on the final lap due to an accident for the number 51 with Cody Ware. The fastest lap bonus was earned by Tyler Reddick, and I'll get into that. I'll get into the details of that a little bit later. Stage 1 was won by Michael McDowell. He did lead in that first stage. Stage 2 was won by Ryan Blaney, and there were 6 lead changes among just 5 drivers, 7 cautions for 15 yellow flag laps, and the average speed of the race a little bit faster at 66.674 miles per hour. Now, talking about that fastest lap, I want to give you more of the details on that fastest lap of the race. Tyler Reddick got that on lap 71, keeping in mind there were 75 laps in this race. So he got his fastest lap trying to catch up with Shane Van Gisbergen, and that came in at 90.091 miles per hour. It did end under caution, but that was pretty incredible. It was fun to watch. You were hoping Tyler Reddick could maybe catch up to him, but he had too much of a lead on him for him to catch up. Your thoughts about those top 10 finishers there?
One big notable is Kyle Busch. And I'll get to the other notable. There's 2 of them that really popped my eye. Again, Kyle Busch. He spun early on in the race while running towards the front and sent him all the way to the rear. And the fact that he worked all race long and finished out a top 5, that's got to say something for Kyle Busch with as much of a year he's having so far. The other notable, and this guy by no means is a road course or a street course racer. That's Denny Hamlin to come out with a 4th place finish. Shoot,
Yes.
I would bet he would I would bet like $5 on him finishing the top 10. If he was a plus 500, I would take that small gamble. But
and he started the weekend out with some problems. He blew an engine before he even got to get into practice.
Yeah, that was another thing too. There was like 10 cars that started that had to go to the rear of the field prior to the green flag. For Hamlin, as you mentioned, was the only one with the engine change, and then the other ones had unimproved adjustments, and it was like
Motorsports.
Yeah, and it was like, wow, okay. I mean, but again, I give props where props is due. But Alex Bowman, great to see him in the top 10. And then Austin Hill, an Xfinity Series regular. We know he's a road course guy and a super speedway guy, but hey, top 10 in the Cup Series, take him while you got him.
Yeah, that's a big plus for sure. Okay. Any other drivers you want to make a comment about before I get into the accidents on this one?
There is one I wanted to point out, and that is Catherine Legg. I hate to kind of say this, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy to say this because, I mean, sucks for Corey Haim's misfortune during qualifying, but Catherine Legg took advantage of it, and boy, did she ever take advantage of it, and then some, because scoring a top 20 for a team a few years ago, they were a full-time chartered Cup Series team. Now they don't have a charter, and they only run on a part-time schedule. And basically, when they run is basically when they have the sponsorship dollars there, besides the Daytona 500 that they always try to run for. And Catherine Legg, man, it really shows off her old IndyCar road course style racing, because the fact that she went from 33rd to 19th, I mean, yeah, we're talking Denny Hamlin going 40th to 5th or 4th or whatever, but Catherine Legg, for as very low funded team as they are.
And they said the only other woman who's accomplished that feat is Danica Patrick, and she was in top quality equipment. Catherine Legg is not. So that was a big accomplishment for her. Also, I wanted to point out Riley Earps, the other rookie in the Cup Series. He had a 17th place finish. And on a road course, I think that was a big deal for Riley Earps to get that finish.
Yeah, Riley Herbst is in that third 2311 car, and say what you want. I mean, you could sit here and say he's been he's just struggling, or he's not adapting well, or maybe that third 2311 car isn't up to par in comparison to the other two. There's a lot of things going on, but again, with the same deal as Catherine Legg, Riley Herbst at this point might as well take the good results while he's got them, and just kind of take small steps at a time here. And if he stays in the Cup Series next year, which maybe by the looks of things he is, but we'll see how that whole charter court dealing is going to happen.
Yes,
But
yes.
if he stays, cool. Maybe all he can do is say, look, last year was a learning curve. This year we're going to try to step it up one notch, and that's
Yeah.
all we can do.
I think he's still on a learning curve as a rookie. These next gen cars are not that easy. Cole Custer knew coming into this season that the first half of the season was not going to be a good run for him because of that learning curve with this next gen car. So let me get into the accidents now, because there were quite a few here. And that busted some of the brackets, I think, too, for the in-season challenge, because William Byron had a clutch issue that took him out on lap 1. That was unfortunate. Our series points leader didn't make it past lap 1. Will Brown had an accident, took him out on lap 2. There were quite a few drivers on lap 2 that were out because of an accident. Will Brown was one of them. Todd Gilliland, Brad Keselowski broke the bracket with that accident. Austin Dillon, Carson Hocevar, and those are the drivers that were out on lap 2. Josh Berry had an accident on lap 28 that took him out. Lap 29, it was Cole Custer that was out because of the accident. And another accident on lap 62 took out Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So that was another one. Michael McDowell had that problem with was it his clutch or what was it?
He had the throttle was stuck on him.
The throttle, that's what it was. He ended up finishing the race, but he was multiple laps down. The drivers, there were 75 laps in the race. Only 25 drivers finished all 75 laps. The rest of the drivers, let's see, 23 drivers, yeah. The rest of the drivers from 24th to 31st, one driver, Ricky Stenhouse, out because of an accident, but the rest of those drivers finished a lap or more down. So unfortunate, but it does happen.
When you have a parking lot in the middle of the street of Chicago, that's going to take a handful out, and that was unfortunate for them. And then I mean, Will Brown, he could have been up there as well.
Yes,
I know. I remember last year he battled it out with, or no, it wasn't him. I think it was Cam Waters, actually. Now that I remember, but
okay.
But Will Brown, again, same background as SVG, could have been up there to play spoiler. I don't think he would have been as strong, being that, again, nothing against Colleague, but when you're going with Colleague versus a team like Trackhouse, Trackhouse is going to win that battle any day. And especially when you have SVG behind the wheel. I mean, you have top tier drivers with the literal top most tier equipment behind them. And it's like, you're not catching SVG. If you know SVG's passing by you like you're standing still, you got nothing for them.
And just before we go on, I do want to mention the in-season challenge bracket. I never know which way to go here. But we do have Ty Dillon won over Keselowski. Bowman won over Wallace, and there's a kind of controversy there. Nemechek over Elliott, which was a big surprise, I think, for a lot of people. Jones over Stenhouse, I think people were pretty mixed on that one. It was Priest over Gregson, Reddick over Hocevar, Gibbs over Allmendinger, and surprise upset, Smith over Buescher. So we now are down to 8 drivers. We went from 32 drivers to 16 this week. Now we're down to 8 when we go to Sonoma.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there?
All I got to say is Ty Dillon's lucking out. I mean, shoot, he's reminding me of a number of years ago, number 15 seed back in NCAA tournament days, Florida Gulf Coast upsetting teams like number 2 Georgetown in the
Yep.
first round. And I think they went about either Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. They had, I mean, Ty Dillon, shoot, I'm going to start calling him the Florida Gulf Coast driver because he's pulling off upset after upset when everybody wrote
Yes.
him off on day one.
Yes, he was the number 32 seed coming into the in-season challenge. So he has made it interesting. We will say that. So really cool. Let's go ahead and go to the points report.
So with that being said, we got SVG who got a second win of the season. That I would say at this point that pretty much guarantees him into the playoffs at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
think so.
But in terms of the regular season, William Byron shockingly still leads the points, but his lead has been cut down to 13 by his teammate Chase Elliott.
Amazing.
Larson not too far behind those two as well. Larson 6 points behind Chase, 19 back from Byron, and third. Hamlin fourth, minus 43. Reddick's not far behind, minus 48. That's your top 5. Bell minus 67, Blaney minus 93, Ross Chastain minus 142, Briscoe minus 150, and Bowman not too far behind, minus 152. That's your top 10 in the regular season. But let's look at the bigger picture. That's the playoffs. Kyle Larson leads that playoff bubble right now. Hamlin is so Larson, Hamlin, and Bell all in with 3 wins apiece. Byron and SVG are in with 2 wins apiece. Blaney, Cindric, Logano, Briscoe, Barry, Elliott, and Ross Chastain are at the moment in the playoff deal, but all have 1 win. And then these 4 drivers have no wins, but are above the cutoff line. Reddick is a plus 143. He basically has a 2 race cushion to work with. So Reddick, he's basically his focus is trying to get that win. He's got the points to help him for the most part. He just needs that win, I believe. Right now, I think the drivers that are not really entirely safe are Bowman, who's at a plus 39, Buescher plus 35, Bubba Wallace at a plus 2 with Ryan Preece under there, minus 2. AJ Allmendinger minus 43, Kyle Busch minus 46, and Eric Jones minus 50. Those drivers are under a full length race in terms of points, but everybody else, Ty Gibbs, that's 21st on down. They have a full race to work with, and they're going to need to gain some points. And everybody else that's floating with that cutoff line or already above it,
yes,
they need them to have some bad days.
Yes, and I believe it's only 8 races left in the Cup Series now too. So it is definitely going to be fun to watch. 4 spots still remain open for winners, and it's not inconceivable to think that any of those 4 drivers could win. We're going to a road course at Sonoma coming up next. AJ Allmendinger is a road course driver and certainly one to watch at Sonoma. And these guys, Ryan Preece did pretty good on that street course race. I wouldn't count Kyle Busch. You talked about his improvement. Eric Jones is certainly capable of it. There's a lot that can happen here. SVG could win again and put himself in the 3-win category.
Yeah, he could. And and it's actually 7 races left with these guys.
7 races. Okay.
Yeah, 7 races, 4 spots. And as you mentioned, SVG could. Chris Buescher, he's another road course guy. Michael McDowell. And yes. I mean, those guys could pop themselves right into the picture.
They really could. So you're right. These guys, even though they're above the cut line right now, it does not make them safe. Somebody from below the cut line can get that win and knock them out. So that's why this racing is getting so intense for these guys. I think it's going to be even more intense at Sonoma next week.
Oh yeah, and we're not not only are these drivers battling for playoff spot, but they're also battling for moving on in this in-season challenge. And shoot, as we mentioned, we started with 32 a couple weeks ago. We're down to 8 now.
Mhm.
After this race at Sonoma, we're going to be down to our final 4.
Yep.
So I mean, depending on some of these battles, these drivers are going to probably duke it out like Bowman and Bubba Wallace did.
Now, just to be clear for anybody who's listening that might be a casual race fan, when we're talking about the final 4 that Taz is talking about, it's for the in-season challenge that will end at Indianapolis. The final 4 for the series won't happen until we get to Phoenix at the end of the year. During the playoffs. So it is a little confusing if you're a casual fan, but the 16 drivers will move on to the playoffs that will start with 10 races to go before Phoenix, and whittle it down to 4 drivers that will race for the championship at Phoenix. But the in-season challenge is the one Taz is talking about. We're already at the final 4 for the in-season challenge, and that face-off will happen at Indianapolis coming up here soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a barn burner. I will say that.
It is, and I think it has added an extra level of excitement for race fans in watching these races leading up to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, the one thing that I like about this is that you're going to get one of 2 things are going to happen. You're going to have one, what happened with Chicago with a couple of the head-to-head face-offs, as somebody mentioned in the broadcast. It's like watching the election. Somebody's already the race has already been called for them, so that person's moving on, or you'll have that last minute nail biter of Bowman versus Bubba,
Yes.
and shoot, I mean, both of them literally went either way. I mean, regardless if they are 20 spots from each other or like 2 spots from each other, they made that like battle entertaining. And I'm sure
Yes.
when we get to Sonoma, we'll probably see that same thing.
I think so. I think we'll still see it. There were a number of drivers that were upset with other drivers after the race, having some conversations after the race about how they raced one another. We'll be talking about that on Hot Topics. Any thoughts from your perspective as a segue to watch for more coming soon?
All I gotta say is get your bucket of popcorn ready. This is what we're in for.
It is. We are in for more as we go on to Sonoma for next week. Now, Taz and I have completed our reviews for this week, but we will be back again to give you previews. Taz is involved with the in-season challenge preview, and then Jay will be back for the races. And we've got an ARCA West race at Sonoma coming up this week, as well as the Cup and Xfinity Series. So there'll be 3 previews this week. But tonight, we want you to be on board with us for our live stream of NASCAR Hot Topic Sound Off. This is episode 2519, the 19th episode of the 25 season. And boy, we've got some conversations coming up on this one, and we'd like to hear your thoughts about some of the hot topics as well. Jay and Chris will be joining me for that conversation, so you know it's going to get lively.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That starts at 10 o'clock Eastern, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody there. So thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate you taking time to hear what we have to say. We have a lot of fun doing these, and we hope you have a lot of fun listening. So
thank you for everyone tuning in, and get your popcorn buckets ready for the in-season tournament.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you on Hot Topics tonight.